Joining me now is Mr. Amitabh Kant. Needs no introduction, but you're here at Davos, and this has been a very interesting session. Key takeaways so far.
Well, India is truly the flavor, and it's the flavor because the world wants action for climate change. The world wants to go digital, and in both these areas, India is at the forefront. In climate change, it was the only country which could achieve its NDC targets, and it's a country which has made a major push towards renewables. It's now using renewables to crack water and grow for green hydrogen. So it's going for green molecules, it's going for clean energy at the size and scale at which the world has not seen before. And it's already at a very rapid advancement in its digital journey, both in terms of the biometric, in terms of the direct benefit transfers, where there have been no leakages. It's the only country which has done transfers of about 840 million people during the peak of the pandemic. It's the only country which had a digital COVID app. And it's a country which has done UPI, which has grown by leaps and bounds. In terms of payments, people have moved away from credit cards and ATM machines to doing mobile transactions.
Right.
So creating this huge infrastructure in terms of bank accounts for citizens, ensuring that people have mobiles, people have low cost of data, has been transformation.
The list is really long.
But the other big thing about Davos is that you find a number of Indian states here, all over, Andhra, Tamil Nadu, Maharashtra, all of them. And therefore, if India is to grow, the story at Davos is that India is transforming itself within a generation. And if India is to do that, states will have to play a very key role, and that's the real action here. It's not just the government of India, but the states which are at the forefront.
Right, we've been listening to and lots of collaborated effort happening. This One India voice that is to go out, and Piyush Goyal himself has been taking a lead on that. Lots of success stories, but Davos at the moment is happening at a point of real concern. Economy, inflation, price rise. I want to come to the cost it will perhaps have on sustainable growth in the second part of my question. But first, I want to understand, where do you see this sort of soft recession that is being talked about here go in the India story?
So two issues and two challenges. One is that global supply chains are disrupted across the world. Secondly, the Fed bank action in America will have consequences across the world. So the American inflation is at all-time high level, and that will have a consequence in other countries of the world.
Right.
India will not remain isolated. The government of India has reacted very fast in terms of bringing down.
What kind of impact do you think, if you could specify?
It will have impact in terms of rising prices because of global disruption in supply chains and excessive degree of liquidity which the world had seen earlier, and which has led to Fed bank action. And therefore, there will be a worldwide inflation for some time. And therefore, India is a part of an integrated world. Your economy is part of the globalized world, and therefore there's bound to be action in India. But the Indian government has reacted very fast. It's taken action on petrol duties and in terms of diesel prices, bringing it down very sharply. It's taken action today in terms of imports of soya bean oil, etc.
Right.
It's taken very prompt action. The central bank has acted now, and central bank will continue to send out a message that it will continue to act.
You recently also said that you don't see the India growth story getting impacted by this.
So India's carried out a vast range of reforms. Fiscal and monetary policies have certain limitations, and therefore my view is that the long-term answer to growth is continued reforms. The government has carried very major structural reforms. GST, IBC, RERA, definition of MSME, huge number of reforms. They will provide impetus to the growth of the economy. And this reform process must continue now from the central government to the state governments. The state governments must, like the central government has done, make themselves easy for business, do away with all the rules, regulation, procedures, paperwork that have been built over the years. The Prime Minister has talked about decriminalization at length, and therefore the more the states become easier to do business in, you will see more and more investment pouring in.
It's the second time that you've actually mentioned states and the partnership that India and the central government needs to play with the states. You're right across the road where we are standing, lots of states have been lined up. The sentiment there is slightly different. They obviously have complaints on the other side. At this point, what is the central government doing to sort of engage with them?
No, we work in partnership. We believe in both cooperative and competitive federalism. We always work in partnership with the states. India grows when the states grow, and therefore it's imperative that the states grow, and we provide always a helping hand to them, in addition to assisting, supporting, doing all the right policy measures. We also put out competitive rankings of states which bring out how they've performed in different areas. So my view is that several states are very keen to grow rapidly, bring in structural reforms, and they are the ones which will grow and prosper, and along with that India will grow.
Right. I want to move to EVs now. Sustainable and clean energy is something that you've been very passionately speaking about. EVs is a space that a lot of states now seem to be sort of having a very healthy competition towards. From Telangana to Maharashtra, everybody wants to really become the next big hub. But I want to talk more on the India picture over here. There are concerns about batteries at the moment. There are concerns about how India is still a hub where we are putting together stuff and not really manufacturing it. So how do you see that unfold? What are you doing to change that?
So electric mobility is one part of the story. The other part of the story is green hydrogen, where we've done a lot of renewables, and that will lead to green hydrogen, because electricity is only about 18 to 19% of the total energy. The remaining energy is hard to abate sectors like refinery, steel, long distance transport, fertilizer, etc., which must be decarbonized. And that decarbonization can only take place through green hydrogen. So that the government of India has provided a major impetus and a push to. The other part of the story is about just transportation, one part of the story. That is two-wheelers, three-wheelers and four-wheelers. Now two-wheelers, three-wheelers, four-wheelers, the answer is running them through batteries. And two-wheelers, three-wheelers are important because 70% of India runs on two-wheelers and three-wheelers. And that disruption has already happened through a large number of startups. The cost of electric vehicle has fallen radically because of FAME scheme, the faster adoption of electric mobility. It's happened, and therefore you will see a lot of push for electric mobility. People will buy two-wheelers and three-wheelers, which are this growth is going to continue unabated, to my mind. All over the world there have been some minor hitches at point of transition. You've seen this happening worldwide. Manufacturers recall their vehicle when there are issues. Some incidents of fire have happened. Manufacturers have recalled their vehicles. It's a transitory phase.
We also heard that DRDO is doing a investigation on these battery fires. One is a little curious to understand how.
Well, we are checking out the reasons for that, but I don't think it's a worry in terms of the transition. Worldwide, BMW, Ford, General Motors, Hyundai, all have recalled their vehicles worldwide. Even for combustion engines, they've recalled their vehicles. So, if you recall your vehicles and set the technology right, you will move on. So there's nothing much to worry. You've had some incidents, but we will move on. Technology transformation is inevitable. It'll happen. People will move to electric mobility because that's for a cleaner future. Important thing is that we should ensure that we build up a very strong circular.
I want to talk about battery swapping once. At a time when perhaps in the life cycle of EV revolution, experts saying that it might be a little early to sort of standardize it because that cuts down scope for innovation. Is that something the government is ready to consider?
So the draft policy that we put out has been welcomed by the industry. It's a policy which looks at innovation. It will constantly allow innovation to take place, but swapping will help the cost of mobility to come down, and we will, based on the feedback received from the industry, we'll move forward on it. But battery swapping will be is a positive development for the industry.
Okay, all right. Thank you so much, Mr. Kant, for speaking with Moneycontrol. Thank you.